Welcome back, everyone. So, as you have just learned, perhaps, or maybe you already knew this, hikikomori is a phenomenon that tends to get labeled using a Japanese word, but it's not actually a Japanese concept. It basically means, I suppose, a shut-in. Someone who, by choice or by social pressure, stays at home alone a lot of the time or most of the time. I think, the most comfortable English language translation we have is a shut-in, but it's not quite the same. So in modern English, a lot of people use this Japanese word. In the article, they use an example from a long time ago from Notes from the Underground, which is by a famous Russian author called Fyodor Dostoevsky, one of my faves. And he, in that story, he describes a person who is a kind of shut-in. They stay at home by choice a lot of the time. They feel like a failure due to society's standards. And it's shown to be a kind of rather sort of sad and lonely lifestyle, but people are doing this by choice. So it's not new and it's not Japanese, but we do tend to defer to that particular Japanese word because it captures the concept so well. I think maybe the reason it got connected to Japan was in the 1990s, they had a big economic crash. You probably heard about that. And so a lot of people lost their jobs, or they couldn't get the jobs they were aiming towards. They couldn't make the money that they expected or wanted to. They felt like they had lost status within society. And the shame of that, the social pressure of that, made them feel like, I have to stay away from society. I am an outcast from society. So they'd stay at home more and have less social contact. So maybe that was the Japanese connection, but we can see this phenomenon happening all over the world. Also here in Korea, many people have noted an increasing concern about certain people kind of dropping out of society, dropping away from social life for fear of being criticized and judged due to not being married or not getting the right job, not getting into the right university that they wanted, and such other reasons. However, I guess the new part, we might have heard about all these things before, but the new update is some good news. Maybe there is increasing amounts of help for people trying to recover or to help their family members recover from this state, trying to rehabilitate them, trying to spread awareness about these mental health and social pressure issues to make others in society a bit more understanding and a bit more welcoming to people who are not perfect. Because let's face it.
Who is?
Except perhaps Fyodor Dostoevsky. He was kind of perfect, but most of us are just humans, So I'm glad there is increasing acceptance of the slightly less than perfect people like us.
Slightly less than perfect.
Yay. So, John, I have a few questions for you related to these topics. Do you know anybody who you would consider my pronunciation, a hikikomori?
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to do that continuously. I would just say the hickeys.
But hickey is something else. Hickey is
that's
like
H-I-C-K. This is H-I-K-I.
Ah, okay. Spelling matters.
I'll say hickey. The hickeys.
Okay.
No, I've never met anyone like this. I've met people who have the potential to become this. A few of them in my life, I've seen if they just have a little push or a little bit of some sort of failure or something that keeps them home, they could stay there for the rest of their life, type thing. In fact, there's one that I think might have turned into a 70% hiki.
I see.
From what I've heard about.
In Korea or in America?
Because not maybe the same reasons, although I imagine walking out every day and people are talking to you like, did you get a job yet? What's going on? I would never go outside after a while, just the worst. But in this case, there's not like a city situation for this person. So I'm guessing it's not really social pressure, but really more about giving up. Being like, what's out there for me? It hasn't worked out so far.
There's no point in me trying. It's too late.
Yeah.
Well,
it sounds like.
I hope they find some services to, help draw them out of their shell, help them regain their confidence.
Hope so.
Drive.
Or having less enabling parents.
Well,
Yeah.
in the article, perhaps parents do get a mention. Often the hikikomori, the only people that they are in contact with are the parents. And I would assume that the people paying the bills are the parents, perhaps. So, yes, that could be a factor, perhaps playing a role in here. But do you agree with the reasons that I was listing about why people become hikikomori? Or do you think there's anything else? Any other reasons?
Yeah, like the one I said is definitely giving up as part of an added reason. The reasons you stated, at first, like earlier in my life, I never understood. I'm like, social pressure, who cares what other people think? But again, I imagine walking out the door and all the neighbors, especially at that time in the 90s, might be asking you questions that you cannot answer or you're sick of answering. And you're like, forget it, why leave? So I do understand it more now. In my own way, I'm sure there's different reasons for the same conclusion. But yeah, that's what I would add to it. Just giving up, like, why go outside? Why? It's been terrible already.
Yeah. I see it. Too many bad experiences. It is hard to stay confident in the face of constant questions and critiques. Yes.
Or just walking around and seeing others and being like, I'm not them.
Yeah.
The comparisons too.
Comparison. Again, yeah, when we look at the neighbors or whatever and we feel a little jealous of their success or their life or their kids or whatever, we can become disillusioned. But yes, let's not be a part of the stigma. Let's try to be constructive. Let's try to help anyone who we feel might be a borderline hikikomori, make them feel confident and valid, and nobody's perfect. And you, obviously, are not perfect. Nobody is. But you might be a little more perfect if you can increase your English level by looking at the vocabulary section, trying to use these new words in your next conversation, and, of course, coming back to see us in the next video.
Good.
See you there.
Alienation.
Alienation.
Bubble.
Bubble.
Rigid.
Rigid.
Disillusioned.
Disillusioned.
Stigma.
Stigma.